firming up my I have a couple of questions to firm up my 2+2 lineup and my kind of my hand build lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel. Hopefully we can get through the games and do that. So I guess I went live. Hopefully, I don't know if I didn't tweet anything. We'll see what.
Yeah, I'll send it out right now.
We'll see what happens. So there were two totally different ways. Not different ways. Actually, it's all the same. I think I decided that for just for the cash stuff for the 2+2, I think I'm going to ride with the 3 chalky running backs, Eckler, Montgomery, and Gordon. And then with the other stuff, there's not a lot of different ways. Here are my decisions. So I could, like, if you see what I have up here, like this is kind of like the mix and match. And this one goes naked Mahomes. And I play Higgins, who I like, Crowder, who I like, Chenault, who I actually like him more than Marvin Hall, actually. And then I went to Fant, kind of like a mid-range kind of tight end. Now, what I could do, and remember, I'm against 3 other people, right? I could get up to Hill if I wanted to. Okay. But if I did that, then I probably end up having to get rid of one of the running backs, right? So, like, let's just say that instead of Higgins, I went up to Hill. Then I'd have to go down. I'd have to go from Montgomery. First of all, Montgomery down to, say, Darrell Henderson, and then probably drop a tight end to like Goddard or something like that. Like, how important is it to have like either Hill or Kelsey in a lineup?
I mean, look, you're talking about for the 2+2.
Yeah,
I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think that, like, I mean, they're expensive. There's tons of options. We do have value, so I would be wanting to get probably more Kelsey than I would Hill in, but I don't think I would want to rebuild too much to try and get those guys. I don't think that they're 100% as much necessary. Now, maybe I'm looking at it from a tournament angle because they're going to be so popular, but that is sort of my take on it.
The other thing is that, what do you think? Because the other way I could go is take one of those KC guys and then go down to Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I mean, how do you like him today?
I like him. I'm not finding myself using him much because I like some of the other ones. And again, I'm playing tournaments, so I'm pairing. I'm using Lamar. I'm using a little bit of Mahomes, Jax, Deshaun Watson, and Jared Goff for my quarterbacks.
And what about what do you think in general of Mahomes and Hill? When I say that, I mean Hill has a hamstring, and they're a 100-point favorite, and they basically can cruise into the number 1 spot.
Right.
I mean, am I gonna regret it? But I mean, do I want to spend like $18,000 on a connection that might be sitting out the fourth quarter? You know what I mean? Or I don't know.
I'm with you. I don't.
Okay.
Let me look at your screen one more time because it's hard for me to see the whole thing.
Oh.
The only thing I would say is that I personally would rather spend down for those Rams receivers, especially Woods, rather than I would pay up for Hill today.
Okay.
So that's the route I'm sort of going.
Okay. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go then game by game then?
Okay.
And then we'll see who you like and who we all like from these games.
Yep.
So all right. Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, I wasn't getting any of. So the only guy that came up every once in a while was a Deontay Johnson here and there.
Yeah.
And that's really all that I had from this game. What did you like from here? Anything?
I like Deontay Johnson a bit. My feeling you could always play the Steelers receivers. But I only have of my 8 big lineups I'll say today, Deontay Johnson, I believe, is in one of them.
Okay.
And I don't really have a whole lot else from Pittsburgh. Look, there could be some action in this game, but I've just watched too many of these short little passes. And again, Deontay Johnson's probably, as he's cheap on FanDuel, he's still probably a better play on DraftKings just because the PPR factor is the way that Roethlisberger's throwing 50 times, that's what you want to capitalize on. He's not hitting these big bomb plays. He's averaging 6 yards per attempt over the last 9 weeks. So I would rather play him over on DraftKings.
The other thing I would say about this game in general is that, I've never been a Tomlin guy as far as his ability to like coach on the field or whatever it is. But one thing he's always really good at is getting his teams to play. Like he came like even last week when it's literally one of the worst half of footballs I've ever seen, like a team with a winning record have. And they came out freaking blazing in the second half, and then they just kind of just ran out of steam. But I can't imagine what was going on in that Pittsburgh locker room this past week. And I think Pittsburgh's going to play really well, or well, at least better, and that's not saying much.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite get to it, and that's pretty much it. It was enough to get me off of Jonathan Taylor completely. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, well let's get right to it then. I mean, the next game I have listed is Atlanta KC, and I'll tell you right now, I wanted to ask you about two guys. One guy I thought was going to be like really chalky and really popular, and then just kind of didn't get quite the projection steam relative to the other higher, quote unquote better running backs was Le'Veon Bell. And I mentioned it to you because you've been saying this for like all year that just wait, Le'Veon Bell could end up being their number one back, and now he's basically being forced into that role. And it's one of those weird things that if he scores like 40 fantasy points or something like that, and like the next day we're like, oh my God, we played running backs that could catch the ball against Atlanta for the rest of our lives, and we didn't play Le'Veon Bell. I mean, really? So him I want to ask you about, and the other guys I want to ask you about is Ito Smith from Atlanta, and also the guy I always play, and I don't know why I'm not playing that much this week. I guess I should, is Russell Gage. It's another week with Julio out, another week where they have to throw the ball, and another week where Gage is not going to be owned. I mean, it's so that's the other thing. And then on the KC side, the only thing from a Turner perspective, I would say, and maybe you could talk me into this, I never had any luck playing the other guys from Kansas City, whether it be Watkins, whether it be Hardman, or any of that stuff. So
I think it wouldn't be Hardman, but I wouldn't mind getting some exposure to the other one.
Watkins.
Yeah, and as far as Bell's concerned, by the way, I am using one other quarterback I didn't mention, and that's I do have a couple Trubisky lineups. But I just wanted to. I don't know, man. I'm not going to use Watson, so it feels weird to talk him up. But he would be the next one I would take.
Watkins.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. He would be one I would if I was mass multi-entering, which I didn't decide to do today because it's just a wild slate and a lot of stuff going on. I would probably. I think he's actually a solid play, and he will be overlooked. But again, you want to do it maybe if you want to double stack with Mahomes is the way you would do it.
Okay. Anything else in this game?
Not for me.
Okay.
Oh wait, I didn't mention was Ridley and Gage. I like both of them. I just didn't say that.
Okay. Jets Cleveland. So Cleveland. You can talk conspiracy theories all day long, but I mean, is it weird for me to be not suspicious, but I know maybe these guys all room together or something, but is it like the weirdest coincidence of all time that literally the only guys that are out of this game are actually just the receivers? I mean, is that bizarre? I mean, you have every receiver and nobody else.
Yeah.
Is it because they hang out together? I can't even imagine why that would be the case.
I'm guessing the NFL knows. I genuinely don't know the answer to the question.
It's ridiculous in a way. But
really
so this game could go like, I mean, they could end up. Well, they could end up having Kareem Hunt split out as the receiver, like for a bunch of snaps. They could end up just cramming it with freaking Nick Chubb as a very, I don't want to say low owned because this is like the uber popular pivot off of the other running backs is to take Chubb. And then the guys I keep coming back to are the Jets guys. I mean, I keep coming back to Crowder. He might be my highest owned wide receiver, if you want to know the truth. And it's 4,500 with Sam Darnold, and they still rate to be coming from behind. I mean, I'm in. And I was gonna play as like a 0% owned again. What's his name? Ty Johnson, but with P Ryan back at that for the Jets, that kind of I'm not doing that. So that's where I'm at. What are you at in this game?
I'm sort of basically on. Okay, so I like Hooper as a tight end as a spend down. Okay. I like looking at my other plays from this game. I really like both running backs, and I think that one way you can get a little different today is I don't think anybody's going to play Kareem Hunt. Now, not that they're going to need to be passing the whole game, but in general, and again, we don't even want to attack running backs against the Jets because they're pretty good against that position specifically. But I just think that there's going to be too much opportunity for these guys, even in the passing game without the receivers there. So I think Kareem Hunt, you might see him have big time work in the passing game, and then maybe he runs one or two in for you. Like he's a high upside sort of counterplay to all this nonsense that sort of opened up this week.
Okay, you just turned me on. I think this is the 2+2 I'm just doing. So instead of Chenault Fant, I'm going to go Gage Hooper.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, and this doesn't force me to have two Denver guys because I was going to have Gordon anyway. Okay,
yeah,
so.
and Fant is a good play, but I don't think that this is like the price. We're starting to get into a funny range here. And to be honest, like if I would have tried to prioritize anything from tight end. I would rather play Hooper at the bottom for a cash type of lineup. I would rather play Kelsey at the top or Mark Andrews. I wouldn't even think about anybody else for that thing.
Okay. Anything else in that game or move on?
Not for me. I'm ready to move.
I really like Lamar in tournaments this week.
He's my highest end quarterback.
And I will tell you this harkens back to another project we're on. I would say let's just say I made like 10,000 lineups in my life in tournaments on the NFL. I probably have made Lamar lineups in like 20 lineups. I mean, I never play him.
Right.
So keep that in mind. I mean, I am playing just probably more of him in this week as a percentage basis than I have combined like the whole season. And I'm just getting there. You know what I mean? I'm playing him with Andrews. I'm playing him with the other one too, with I think with some Hollywood Brown. I'm playing him with that also. And I know the Giants defense has been somewhat stingy, but you know what? I think that Baltimore's catching their stride a little bit. You know what I mean? And I like Lamar here in tournaments. I think on FanDuel I have some Dobbins. I think from Baltimore. The Giants side, this was actually interesting. I almost made my tight ends when I was in this range. I almost made Ingram my tight end in this range. I just didn't quite need to do it, but he was the only guy I really had any interest in the Giants. Where are you?
Same page. Well, okay, no, that's not. Sorry, different page a little bit.
Okay.
I think that we should take a couple shots on Darius Slayton.
Okay.
I think we should take a shot or two on
Shepard.
Okay. Slayton would be my preferred guy.
Wait. Slayton's only 3,800.
3,800. It's like people forgot about it because all this other value opened up. And like Baltimore's while their offense I think has been in their stride, I won't say the same thing about their defense. They have looked worse defensively in games that actually mattered, like that game against the Monday night game against Cleveland where they ran for 1 million touchdowns against them. They just don't look right to me defensively. So I'm okay with taking some shots on these Giants. I just wish there was more other things. Mostly it's going to be Lamar to Andrews, a little bit of Lamar to Hollywood Brown, but mostly Lamar to Andrews is my interest, running it back with either Slayton or Shepard. I like Slayton a little better.
I'm going to go back actually to some of my lineups and see if I ended up with some Chenault, because if I can find the extra 100 for Slayton, I think I'd much rather have that.
You're going to get it like 1/4 the ownership too. It makes sense in a lot of different ways, even though I like Chenault too today.
Yep. Okay, so Cincinnati-Houston is probably the most talked about game between two horrible teams in like the history of freaking daily fantasy sports. So you have a couple of things going on here. Number one, on the one hand, you have Houston being the uber chalk defense, right? On the other hand, you also have, well, on the same hand, sort of, you have Duke Johnson out. So now you once again have David Johnson, who is, I think, going to be owned as like kind of a remember, those three running backs I mentioned are going to dominate a lot of the ownership. But David Johnson has certainly got to, he's got to get something. And I like the Watson, Cooks, David Johnson type deal. I think it's pretty good. Cincinnati on their side of the ball, I mean, with Boyd out, now T. Higgins becomes a really, really, really good play. Again, what you have going against you is you have Brandon Allen throwing the ball. Yet on the other side, you have Houston, who doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. Like they give up stuff to everybody. The other thing on Cincinnati is Giovanni Bernard again, as another kind of interesting running back pivot to all that stuff. Because look, some people played him against Dallas. He fumbled it once, and then he was moved out of the game. then he just completely shredded the Steelers. I mean, like running the ball out of the backfield, and Houston might be, aside from that travesty of a team we saw yesterday, might be the worst rushing defense. Well, I'm referring to Detroit, by the way. Houston have the worst rushing defense in the league. So I think Bernard is totally in play. And that's kind of where I'm at here.
Yeah, I've got 15% Bernard. I'll just go through it quickly. And I'm trying to look at my rest from this game. Watson is, I have him as my fourth quarterback, but I think I'd like to move him up to number 3. So Watson to Cooks, and I think Cooks is a terrific play everywhere. I love Cooks. I'm good with taking a shot on QT, or if you want to play Hansen as a double stack with Watson, I'm good with that. I like running it back with Higgins or AJ Green.
Meanwhile, it's already been a success because I'm seeing in the chat that we got the chat working again from the YouTube. So
hey,
what I did, I fixed the settings so those look good. So Eric Johnson's in. He's like, you have Chubb and Hunt. He mentioned this before. If we don't get to whatever you guys were asking, just kind of ask again. Okay, so Chicago, Jacksonville. At the beginning of the week, Trubisky was going to be my cash quarterback, and then it just didn't work out that way.
Much value elsewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still a good play. The guy. So Allen Robinson is officially active, and okay, with no QTAB, no limitation, whatever it is. So the interesting part of this whole game is that. Well, it's not that issue, but James Robinson was ruled out, and that's one of the reasons these other 3 plays are just so, you know what I mean? They're just going to dominate against. James Robinson would have been a good play also. He's out. So on the Chicago side, you have Montgomery, who I think forget about what people thought of him in the last couple of years. I mean, the fact is he's getting the ball every freaking time he's in the game, and he's in the game every snap. So, and he's getting balls out of the backfield also. So I think he's. God forbid Jacksonville keeps this game close, which I doubt. I mean, he's pretty game script proofed also, it seems. So it's just kind of hard for me to fade him in cash. Again, with all 3 of these guys, like Montgomery, and we'll get to Eckler and Gordon, I mean, you can't really play them all in GPPs. It's just sucking up too much ownership out of your lineup. You know what I mean? I guess when we get down to it, I'll ask you to rank those guys, relative to ownership and everything between Montgomery, Eckler, and Gordon when we get done with this. That's going to be an important decision. But certainly a very strong play. Robinson remains a strong play. Jacksonville side, one thing I want to caution everybody, not caution, I'm kind of worried about this, is that whenever you have a running back who gets 100% of the work ruled out of the game, some running back ends up being really chalky. And because nobody knows who these Jacksonville guys are, nobody's going to own any of them. And I believe is that if you somehow knew that this Bunuki guy or whatever was going to get all the work, it's kind of stupid to not have it. You know what I mean? That's just what I'm fearing. Like right now, I don't have anybody. But I just feel as though just on principle, you're just going to – I think it's kind of dumb to not have it. I don't know. And then as we mentioned before, Chenault is a good play. And then that was all I had really from this.
Nice. Yeah, I think Chenault is my favorite play on the other side. I don't mind if somebody wants to take a shot on DJ Chark. But it's not probably what I'm going to do. I think that I'm going to play Trubisky to Robinson. I've got that, like I said, on DraftKings, I've got that as like 30% of my lineups. I just think it became too good of a tournament play. And if you want to mix in and double stack it, I don't want to in general with Trubisky because he can always get you a rushing touchdown. He's kind of good. He's better with his legs than people think. But I would go Mooney next if I was going to do that route, and then I would run it back. I just think I'm going to leave the running backs alone. I get it. Their minimum, all this stuff. I get the thought. There's other value out there. Darrell Henderson is 4,500, and we actually know he's like talented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just don't know what we're getting from these guys. So I don't really want to get too heavily invested in it personally.
Okay. We done?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's move on to the later games. So Carolina, Washington. The only interest I had from the Carolina side was I did have some kind of off the board interest in Mike Davis. Actually,
I get it.
It's a tough matchup. There's certainly better plays, but I've seen him get the work, and I think he's a good tournament play.
Also, might have a slightly higher upside in terms of points on DraftKings, because you might get more dump offs because the defense is good and can create pressure.
Yeah,
that could actually, sometimes that works the other way for running back. Sometimes it goes both. You need the running back to block. Other times you get the extra. You can release the running back on. You run 4 screens a game for him, and then maybe he breaks a big play. So I like that call. I don't know if I'm going to get to it not much myself, but I do like that call.
And the Washington side, you have McLaurin, who's had all the targets and he's out. So the two logical ones are both not going to get any ownership, which is interesting. One is Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick coming out of the backfield, and the Sims brothers. The Sims brothers will probably get a little bit of ownership, really. I just don't think I need to get to them. I have, again, some kind of bizarre interest in Antonio Gibson with the big Q tech also out of this game. Again, another, these two guys are very – well, actually, they're not similar at all. I have more faith in Davis's kind of ability to have that multiple workload.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both 6,600. They're both going to have no ownership. And I do have some weird interest in Gibson here.
Get it.
And that's it.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to do it, but I totally understand it. And I'm going to play a tiny bit of Cam Sims.
Cam Sims. Let's get him right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's the other guy I'll be using a little bit of as a cheap option, because the truth is, what's going to happen is a couple of these guys are going to hit big today, in my opinion. And I just I want a little bit of different exposure, but I'm not mass entering. So I have Sims at 15% right now. I have Chenault at 20%. I have Darius Slayton at 20%. Anyway, that's I'm just trying to mix in these guys, and I have about the same for AJ Green.
To answer your question, by the way, John, no, today we're too time crunch for the NBA. But I will tell you this: if you want to play the NBA, I will warn you this. Everybody's on a back-to-back today, pretty much. So
that's going to be happening consistently. Not to mention the weekend back-to-backs are always a little scary, even though there's not much to do and go out and party. You just got to be careful today. I totally.
Yeah. With that said, right? If you want to put in that work from 3 o'clock, at 6 o'clock when everybody else is tilted from the NFL and not paying attention, you'll probably be able to get some good edge, and the ownership's going to be completely bad. It just always is on the weekend. You never see a big 6-7 game slate on a Sunday. Up against the NFL, starting at that time, so you're gonna get edge if you put in the work, which I'm not gonna have time to come up back and help you with, unfortunately.
Right.
But you can figure that out. Okay, so moving on, Denver against the Clippers, Nuggets Clippers. So with Lindsey out, what's his name? Eckler becomes to me a really, really strong play. Although I can certainly see. I can certainly see Kalen Ballage getting a touchdown at 4K. I'm just gonna say that. But Eckler looks like a really strong play. The other thing coming out of the Chargers is the unknown situation with Keenan Allen. So we had what's his name come on earlier today, not Rappaport, the other guy, saying that he was not going to play. Right. And then the coach comes in. Well, actually, then Ian Rappaport comes on saying no, it's actually a game time decision. So it's. I'm not playing him either way. However, it's 4 o'clock, so we're gonna see. We're gonna see what my lineups look like and what's going on, But presuming that he either doesn't play or is limited, you got the same guys that everybody played in Showdown the other week. So you have Guyton, who could come into play. You have that tight end, Farha or whatever, can come into play. And then you have, because Hunter Henry's out also, right? So that tight end's in play. And Mike Williams, who's back, is firmly in play, kind of regardless.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the reasons why Eckler is such a tough play to fade, is because he's going to get more receiving work. So, yeah, all that stuff from LAC, I'm going to have some of. The Denver side is equally interesting. With Lindsey out, you have Melvin Gordon, who's going to get, if not all of, decent amount of the work. And then, you get other stuff. You get Fant, who we mentioned before. He's got a lot of upside. And, you know, you want to play more. If you want, you're not a glutton for punishment, you can play more Denvers. You can play Patrick. You can play Judy. All these guys are cheap. So you want to stack up something in the 4 o'clock games and jam in a lot of other expensive guys, you can certainly do that.
Yeah, you totally can. I do think that, so I like Mike Williams a lot. But I also like Tyron Johnson. And I think he's going to be just completely unowned. And he's actually put up, 17 and 15 in his last 2 games. He's 4K. He's had a little bit, and that's been with Keenan Allen in part of the game at least. So maybe we can look at him a little bit. Again, I'm not like in love with it, but I do think Mike Williams is a guy we want to get some exposure to. Yeah.
Anything else?
You could play Herbert in a stack with him if you want to. It's tricky to find out who to play him with, but I don't mind it. I wish I liked.
You could play with Eckler and Tyron Johnson. How about that?
Actually, it's not a bad idea to play him with Eckler. Eckler should get some more usage from the passing game. But I'll tell you what, if you like the Chargers and you're watching them at the end of the games and they have the ball at the 2-yard line, they ran that in with tried to run it in with Balaj a few times. Almost made me money that night. Remember?
Yep.
So just be aware that Austin Eckler is not a great guy on DraftKings, especially, but he's going to lose some of those goal line work. He doesn't carry the ball around there very often. So
real quick then, who's if you had to toss one, if you had to rank Montgomery, Gordon, and Eckler, how would you do it?
Montgomery, Gordon, Eckler. I think Montgomery is probably the obvious better play. I'm playing a little Trubisky, so I don't have as much of it myself. I think Eckler, it's close, man. I'm looking at my ownership right here. I tend to like to fade Montgomery when he can be crazy owned, but today is really hard for me to do that. Eckler is a really strong play, but the ownership versus the touchdown upside. So maybe in a weird way, Melvin Gordon might actually be the answer against a former team without Phillip Lindsay. That's sort of interesting to me.
The other thing I would mention, by the way, is if is that if one of the reasons why why Mahomes and what's his name and Lamar are like just kind of in play for me this week more than they usually are, is that both these guys can destroy the slate. You know what I mean? Like there's not like so many quarterbacks that could put up that types of numbers this week. However, as we transition into this next game, we've seen this a lot of times. Like the Rams-Seattle game goes one of 2 ways, right? It goes ugly or it goes shootout.
Yep.
And God help everybody if they don't play this game. And you get that 40-31 game with Metcalf, Lockett, Kupp, Woods, and everybody else just going nuts. It wasn't too long ago that literally whoever Seattle played, we played the passing game, right?
Yep.
And the Rams put them in a situation where they could sling it. Oh, for example, if their lead running back might be out, this game could be nuts. So I'm into this, man. I'm into just kind of old school Wilson with Metcalf, Wilson with Lockett, Wilson with both, run back with Kupp, run back with Woods, or Goff with Woods and Kupp. I don't even think you need to go to I don't even think you need to play Gerald Everett or the other guy. I mean, I think all these guys are going to be low enough owned where you could just play these guys.
Yeah. I really want this whole game. Like I want this to be like, the problem is like you're playing the Jared Goff roulette game. You know what I mean? He might throw 5 touchdowns. He might get lit up and they might just keep the ball on the ground. And even then it would go to Henderson. No matter what, you want exposure to this game, no matter how you slice it. I think Woods is the best play in the game. I think Woods might be my favorite receiver on the slate today. And I think that the ownership is just not going to be where it should be. I also think I know he was completely shut down in the same matchup. I am perfectly willing to go right back to a too cheap and too low owned DK Metcalf.
Yep.
So that's where most of my love for this game is. I'll have a little bit of Carson love, but not for the most part. Heavy on Woods, 25% on Kupp. So some ownership there. I would even consider Josh Reynolds a decent play at 3.2 as another pivot off of this, the other that's value. But I like this game, man. And don't sleep on if you're going to play this game entirely. Like you can play Tyler Higbee or Gerald Everett too. Like you could really hammer this passing game. Hope it stays close. And I personally am just not going with the Russ version of it. I'll play a little bit of the Goff version. And I get the Wilson thing. This guy, I think he's put up 20 fantasy points once in the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Averaging like 14 a game. And I'm not saying that couldn't all change, but why am I going to all of a sudden play him against the best defense in the NFL? Like, you know what I mean? Against the passing game. So that's my reason for not doing it.
All right. So last game, actually these last 2 games go off at the same time. So you have Jalen Hurts kind of return week against a pretty good matchup. The pieces from this game, if I were going to play Philly, which I don't know, man. It's so hard to figure out what to do with him. And I'm just kind of not into playing just Hurts by himself. I mean, you could pair him with Goddard if you want. You could pair him with Rieger. I don't know. I just don't know how to play this game if I'm going to play it. Sanders, I mean, again, he's going to be 0% this week against one of the worst rushing defenses around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's certainly possible.
He's my guy.
Okay.
I'm in on Sanders. And by the way, I don't have as much of him, but Chop did it last week. He won the million with Hurts as a naked quarterback. And
we're good.
You can do that with this guy. So I am tempted to do it. I think I would lean Goddard if I had to partner him with anybody. The problem is I like other players in that range better than I like Goddard. So if I'm gonna try to do Hurts, I think that Rager, and you hope that at some point the talent catches up and they sort of find their sync and they hit a couple big plays or something. So I actually don't mind Rager partnered with him.
Dallas side, Amari Cooper was my 2+2 quarterback for like 5 days in a row. And it just kind of the bill just kind of made me not have that range anymore. But he's a really, really good play. So I will leave it at that. Is Gallup out? Gallup is playing, right? Okay. That was one of the reasons why I thought that Cooper was especially good.
I actually have a little bit of Gallup. So
yeah, no, I know that. So maybe that's why Cooper just ended up not being projecting as highly. But all those guys are good. You know, Lamb, Gallup, Cooper. Just between you, me, and the wall, I would not be surprised. It doesn't make a difference. But I don't care what they say. I still think it's possible that Zeke is out. He says he expects to play. Doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do play him, you could always pivot to Pollard at the end. You know, whatever. They've priced them both exactly where they probably should be. If either one of them start. That's pretty much it. What do you like? So you like Gallup? You like any of the other receivers?
I like Cooper. I want to take a shot at each of the Dallas receivers. We've seen this Philly team just get lit up through the air, like lit up the last few weeks. So I'm very interested in that. I think that a little bit of Rager from Jalen Hurts is a good way to go against this awful defense. It's really the thing with Hurts is he has big play and huge running upside. So playing him alone makes sort of more sense than some of the other guys because he can hit 2 different receivers for 60-yard bombs and then run to it himself. He's that kind. He's just, I don't know. I'm going to go with what the eyes have showed me. I did not think he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. I thought he was terrific in college. But watching him play, I'm totally on the opposite side of it now. I think he's awesome. And I don't know that he's going to stay awesome, but I certainly like playing him today. Now he's going to have higher ownership than I would want, but I'm not really that worried about it. And I just wish, like you, that we could find a comfortable receiver to pair him with. But I'm okay being uncomfortable and playing Jalen Rager.
Okay, last question again. This is my last thing. Once again, Gage, Hooper, or Chenault Fant? Considering I have Melvin Gordon.
For your lineup, I don't know that I feel like there's got to be some. Let me just see your screen again because, okay. I like the rest of it a lot. I think it's Gage Hooper, man.
Yeah.
Now the only question is there a better play than Gage? Let me just see real quick that we're maybe just forgetting about. Because there's a lot out there today and there's a lot of wildness, and that's partly why I'm not. You could either go crazy on days like this or just not.
I mean, it's Watkins, but
yeah,
that's paired with Mahomes. That gives me that benefit because I have Mahomes in this lineup. But
yeah, I think that's it. I think it's Gage Hooper.
All right, everybody. We're gonna get out of here, I think, because I have to go through our lineups. But
sorry not to answer a lot of the questions and stuff, guys. We'll do that better on other shows. It's a little hectic Sunday, so kind of tricky.
Yep.
But Sheets, great job, guys. Hopefully we were helpful. Good luck to everyone out there today. Let's make $1 million. Somebody make $1 million. Let us know that we helped you make $1 million. Blame us for not letting you make $1 million. Whatever it is, we're glad to be doing this stuff. Sheets, anything else?
Nope. Good luck, everybody.